When testing a particular system, you start with unit tests and work your way up to system tests. Unit tests are closest to the code. These test the modules or components of your system. In object-oriented programming, unit tests are typically written for a specific class. Integration testing ensures that the components work well with each other. Validation tests are acceptance tests, and they involve the customer. System testing takes on many forms, but they all test the system as a whole. As we mentioned, unit testing involves individual components, and integration testing tests how components interact with one another. A special category of integration testing is regression testing. Now, we've gone over this before in a previous module, so I'm hoping you remember what regression testing is. If you're not sure, or if you kind of remember, but it needs a minute to bubble up to the surface, please pause the video and think about how you would tell someone what the purpose of regression testing is. Ready? The purpose of regression testing is to ensure that in the process of modifying and extending the software, you don't break things that had previously been working. So regression testing is a kind of retesting. You run a suite of tests periodically on the entire system to ensure that nothing gets broken as the system evolves. Periodically usually means different things. There are usually a set of tests that developers are asked to run before they're allowed to check in new code into the main repository. There may be a more comprehensive suite of regression tests that's run daily, often at night when the system's not being modified as much. Every place will have their own convention. In Pressman's words, regression testing is the selective retesting of a modified system to help ensure that no bugs have been introduced during modification. In validation testing, the focus is on software requirements. Acceptance testing is a kind of validation testing. The customers and possibly other stakeholders are typically involved in this process. In system testing, the focus is on system integration. Remember that the system involves more than just the software. It involves the software and the environment in which it is intended to be run. Listed here are a few kinds of system tests. Please take a moment to pause the video and see how many of these you're familiar with. Ready? Okay, let's see what Pressman has to say about each of these tests. You've probably heard about beta testing before. Software that is still in beta is typically released to a subset of users, so a company can get feedback from them about problems with the software. Alpha testing is a similar thing, but the software is in even less of a finished state. Recovery testing is when you force the software to fail, so that you can make sure that the software gracefully recovers from that failure. Security testing tries to ensure that the software is not subject to hacks or various forms of attack. In stress testing, you put high demands on the software with regard to system resources and make sure that the software can still perform. Finally, performance testing tests the runtime performance of the software. And that's it for software testing strategies. In the next section, we'll talk about black box testing and white box testing.